Hello, I'm Mitchell McKinney, Dean of the University of Akron's Buchtel College of Arts and Sciences. As part of our monthly series, Dialogue with the Dean, I visit with members of our college's outstanding faculty to learn more about their research and creative activity. Today I'm talking with Dr. Dani Jauk-Ajamie, Associate Professor of Sociology. Recently, Dani co-authored Gardening Behind Bars, a fascinating book that explores case studies of prison gardens across local, state, and federal facilities. Dani, thanks for joining me today to discuss this very interesting work with us. So first, I'm curious, what inspired you to explore the connection between gardening, food justice, and incarceration?
So, as a feminist sociologist, I was always puzzled by the fact that the United States has experienced this explosive increase in female incarceration. In the last 40 years, female incarceration went up 600%.
Wow.
So around 1 million women and girls are under supervision of the criminal justice system right now, 200,000 about incarcerated. So it's a massive population that is incarcerated in facilities we have designed for men. As an applied sociologist, I have not always worked for universities. I actually worked in the community, and I worked as a researcher for a large community corrections agency in our region. In that role, I was evaluating feedback from clients, and the recurring feedback was the food is not for human consumption, and we have too much downtime in these facilities that are supposed to offer treatment and rehabilitation. Now, I was interested to develop, and sociology solves problems creatively. No? With sociological imagination, I was inspired by my colleague Sharon Everhart in Alabama, who was in the process of creating a women's prison garden in Alabama, and I said we could do this here because with an organic garden program, you are addressing the downtime, you are providing skill building, but at the same time you are improving the food because women can grow their own herbs and vegetables to improve the food. And the food situation in American prisons and jails is really dire because 3 large corporations dominate the market with low-grade, low-cost food. And that's a problem for public health because, as we know, people who come to correctional facilities come from impoverished neighborhoods with food insecurity. They come with more physical health and more mental health problems. So I thought with a organic gardening program, we can catch several flies with one catch, basically.
Wow. So your actual research for this book, you were in the prisons and facilities collecting data, and how did you do your research?
So the research, while I was running this gardening program with local community partners, because community engagement is also so important, I worked with a local food justice initiative, Let's Grow Akron, that helped us establish those beds. I worked with the extension office. While I was doing that, I was so lucky to get a position at the University of Akron, and here then I had access to research resources like ethical oversight. The IRB at the University of Akron made it possible for me to then systematically collect data. I'm a qualitative researcher. I collected women's accounts, reflections, and diaries, how they experienced the gardening. I did a lot of participant observation. That means I write field notes. And I collected interviews and focus groups also with community partners and gardeners in correctional settings across the United States. This was supposed to be a much larger program with follow-up interviews to see, do women really use the gardening skills? How does that change their families and their communities? But COVID happened, so I shifted gears a little bit and resorted to expert interviews with gardeners in correctional settings across the United States.
Wow. Well, can you summarize for us your major findings, perhaps the takeaways that you gleaned from this project?
Yeah, I mean, definitely all women reported they feel increased physical health because a gardening program outside automatically grants them more outside time. In this particular facility, women had access to outside, to their backyard, only half an hour a week. So with the garden, they were out of several more hours, they got more fitness, the food improved, a lot of snacking was going on. They could really embellish their plates. They reported improved mental health. Gardening is seen as a big de-stressor, very relaxing, a balancing activity. I could observe improved social interaction. I don't know if you have ever been in a correctional facility, somebody always yells at some point. In the garden, somebody always laughed. There was a lot of laughter, there was a lot of collaboration and teamwork. Also between clients and staff members, which is a hierarchical relationship usually. So there was that going on, and there was skill building going on. Of course, women learned gardening skills, and we focused on low budget or no budget gardening and urban gardening, because we're in an urban area. What can you grow if you only have a windowsill? Or what can you grow in a dollar store shoe rack?
Wow. So something as simple as a garden can make a meaningful difference in the lives of people who are incarcerated. It sounds like your findings show us.
Absolutely, and that goes for the entire United States. With national collaborators, we are just working on a volume that includes voices of incarcerated gardeners from all over the United States. So there is different socio-environmental initiatives going on all over the place. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm curious then, in terms of the lessons learned from your research and what we may take away related to how we think about justice and rehabilitation and in even our own communities. What would you point to as this is the major lessons that we've learned from this research?
I mean, a major lesson from me is, and for us should be, we should not incarcerate the massive amount of people we are incarcerating. It's expensive and it is unhealthy, especially for women. If you consider 80% of women in American jails have children, 60% of women in American prisons are caregivers to children. So there is major disruption taking place. I think we really have to invest our brains in finding alternatives to incarceration in terms of restorative and transformative justice. I also think gardening points us to this very crucial understanding we now have of climate change, right? If you consider that our climate gets harsher and so many people are trapped in correctional facilities, as they say, as sitting ducks. That's an in vivo quote of women in times of disaster like COVID or in a flood or in a fire. So I think we need to think environment and incarceration on a broader level.
So, Dani, congratulations on this book, and thank you for sharing this important work with us and for joining me today for a dialogue with the Dean. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation. You are such a wonderful Dean.
Thank you, Dani.